Well, didn't the defense sure bail out the offense this past Monday night as the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Cleveland Browns 26-22 with 2 defensive touchdowns and the offense looking in disarray in 2 weeks in a row. Two's a pattern, right? Well, let's break it down. We're going to find out what's going on. Why is this offense playing so bad? Is it Matt Canada? Is it the quarterback? Is it the line? I personally think it's probably a little bit of all three, but we'll break it down today. We're going to we'll talk first about the struggles with the quarterback. Then we'll talk about the line play. And as we go along, we'll discuss the scheme of those plays as well. Now, don't worry. Not everything's going to be bad. There is room for optimism. There was some flash that flashed out there on Monday night. There's reasons for hope. And that if the Steelers can just get perhaps a little bit more consistent, maybe they'll have an actual, chance of turning this season around offensively. So when it comes to Kenny Pickett and it comes to either a sophomore jump or a sophomore slump, to me, it's all dependent on the tape and if the player can overcome the tape, right? Kenny Pickett put 10 games on film last year for NFL defensive coordinators to dissect and find out what are the weaknesses, what are the strengths. And it appears that one of the weaknesses last year was Kenny Pickett versus the zone. Last year he was ranked 54th in yards per attempt. He had 2 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. He was ranked 25th in completion at an EPA of negative 0.06, which was ranked 36 in the league. So defenses saw that. Defenses are going to now play Kenny Pickett with a zone defense until he can show that he can beat the coverage. Last week, when we broke down the 49ers film, I showed you guys and discussed that I was concerned about the zone play. It felt like Kenny Pickett wasn't reading the zone. He wasn't finding the guys that were open in zone. Now, zone is a little bit different than man. In zone, you have to have a little bit of anticipation. You have to know where your wide receivers are when they get open and where the holes are in the defense. So it's extremely different than when you're playing man. And it means that the quarterback has to process a lot more information and a lot quicker, especially if the offensive line is not doing their part. So this is an example of some of the struggles that Kenny Pickett had versus the zone. And in this specific play, it appears that you have a single high safety. It appears that you have man. However, as the running back comes in, nobody's really following, right? So that kind of indicates that could be zone. Number 26 for the Cleveland Browns ends up dropping back. He's going to be one of the highest in the zone coverage. The back deep field safeties running zone. The cornerback that is on George Pickens is going to stay in this area because that's his area of the zone, right near the line of scrimmage. George Pickens is going to have an opportunity for a hole shot. And if you look at the play, not only does George Pickens have an opportunity for this, but Salvin Austin at the bottom both run a similar concept where you're going to get an interior wide receiver or tight end to try to lure in the cornerback and the middle linebackers down so that there will be that opening between the cornerback and the safeties that are down deep. Let's watch this. So you have a release on both sides. And as you can see, the cornerbacks don't appear that they're going to be running up with the wide receivers. As you can see, they're already trailing them. And Kenny Pickett's looking in the direction of George Pickens. He's looking at Jaylen Warren, and he's escaping a clean pocket. Let's rewind this a little bit. So keep your eyes on Kenny Pickett. There's no pressure. He's escaping a clean pocket, kind of running into pressure on the right side, and then dumps the ball down. As you can see, George Pickens at the top and Calvin Austin at the bottom of the screen. The outside wide receivers are both open. This is a cover 2 hole shot that Kenny Pickett needs to make. He needs to be able to throw this ball. If he can show that he can throw this ball accurately and hit these receivers, then that'll get the defense to get out of zone. Until he's able to prove that, they're going to continue to type of defense, and we're going to see more dump balls or dump off balls than anything else. On this second play, similar thing. You're going to have a similar concept. We're going to have the tight end come in, and he's going to pull away from the zone cornerback and the linebacker to bring attention to him. Calvin Austin's going to do a go route, and he's going to be open in the zone again. Even up top, you have George Pickens who's running wide open. It appears from this angle right here that the offensive line is doing their job. Kenny Pickett has pocket, But look at Kenny's legs. Like he looks like he's about to squat. Super wide. I don't know. Maybe it's just part of his drop back. No, that's what he looked like. Let's watch it without the pause. Yeah, he's getting ready to run, and it's a clean pocket. He doesn't need to run out. But even right here, as you can see, Calvin Austin is coming back to Kenny Pickett. He needs to be able to just throw, make it accurately, and he just throws it out of bounds. I don't know if he even saw Calvin Austin in that situation or not. But, in my opinion, it's just one of those things where it's constantly happening. The weak part of the zone is not being attacked. Now, in this play here, you have what appears to be single high safety. You have a player on George Pickens pretty close. So it looks like it's going to be man at this point. You have your tight end in motion and 22 follows him across. So that's a pretty big indication that is going to be man. However, you're going to have is going to end up being zone. And the reason why we can tell it's going to be zone is number 22 is going to go and cover this area at the bottom around the 30 area. And there's a down there, right? And this cornerback up top that's covering George Pickens is going to just kind of go back and cover the deep zone area. And you're going to see this, I guess he's either a corner, maybe slot corner that's over Allen Robinson, go out to the top of the field there towards the sideline. And you're going to see George Pickens come wide open. And you have a freaking clean pocket again. This is wide open. I mean, with what George Pickens can do, and can get open and run up the seam, like he did earlier, this could be another touchdown. But Kenny Pickens, Calvin Austin is covered and immediately dumps the ball off without going through his progressions. Watch. He's looking at the middle linebackers. He looks over to Calvin and then dumps it off to Najee Harris for little to no gain. In this type of situation, he needs to go through his progressions. He needs to say, all right, this guy's not there. Let me look to the other side before going to the dump off. You had clean protection in that moment. I know a lot of people are saying that the offensive coordinator is holding back the quarterback, but these are simple concepts and simple plays that the quarterback is not grasping. I don't understand why people think that making things more complex would make it easier for a quarterback who's struggling with simple concepts. And these simple concepts are working. You're seeing receivers open. So is it really the coordinator holding the quarterback back, or is it the quarterback holding the coordinator back? It's definitely a question that we need to ask ourselves. Now let's look at some issues with the slants. Here you're going to see, this is the second play in offense where Kenny Pickett throws an interception. He's automatically looking at the receiver he's going to throw to, doesn't realize that the safety that's playing underneath is basically just watching his eyes and picks him off. He doesn't look off the safety, doesn't look off any of those things. And I think the reason being is because when he does, and then he turns back to throw the ball, he's not very accurate. Remember last week against the 49ers, he had a similar play to Deontay Johnson that he threw a little bit behind. I think in that play is because he tried to look off and then go back, and he just wasn't either strong enough ball in there appropriately. The timing was off, or he just wasn't accurate to get the ball in there at the right time. This play ends up getting intercepted. It's very fortunate that it's not taken back for 6. Let's watch it from the end. As you can see, I think the offensive line did okay blocking. There's no pressure, really. You just didn't see, the safety there. It's a little bit of tunnel vision, in my opinion. Now, this is a few quarters away. The Steelers run something kind of similar where you're going to have a slant coming in from George Pickens from the top, but you're going to have Allen Robinson kind of cross over towards the sideline. And what Kenny doesn't realize is that this middle linebacker here is basically being a shadow to Kenny. He's just watching him. He's watching his eyes. Kenny doesn't look off very often. And when he does, he's not very accurate. So, for a defense to have noticed that and to have 10 games or 11 games on tape and see that those are some of the struggles that this quarterback has, they're going to be able to exploit those. They're going to have a middle linebacker or a safety, in the middle of the field, just watching Kenny's eyes to see what's going on. And fortunately for Kenny, that this ball gets batted down. So he's immediately looking up towards George Pickens. That's his first thought. You see number 44 is already drifting out towards that direction. And it's blocked here. But I think that this guy is close to getting another pick, or having a pick 6, number 44. Keep your eyes on him again. In the center of the field. Kenny Pickett drops, throws it blocked. He's right there. That could have been an easy pick six. So the next part of Pickett's game that we're going to look at, his decision making and his timing on some of his throws he has been struggling in. This is the play that also should have been intercepted. We had one interception on a slant. We possibly could have had two on another slant. And this is the possible third interception that Kenny could have had in this game. Fortunately for Kenny, that second ball was batted. And on this play, the defendant make the pick. Now, I was sitting behind Kenny. The end zone that I am in is behind this end zone. And I remember when I saw this play live, I was like, why is Kenny looking back at Calvin Austin so hard? I thought maybe this was he's just looking back that direction. I don't know if there was a miscommunication, or if this is a broken play. And Kenny's like, you're not supposed to be over there. But he looked back at him for a significant long time before he turned around. And I don't know what happened there. And then he's getting pressured here. It appears that this was supposed to be some sort of screen, maybe. I see the Chicks Core 4 somewhat downfield, kind of. And I think that's Darnell Washington who was blocking also downfield. And Kenny throws it. Now, in the initial time when I saw this, I thought Kenny was throwing it away. But from this view, it's clearly he's not. Because if he was throwing it away, you're right here on the right side, you see that first marker. That's about maybe 5 yards away. Kenny can just throw it in this direction towards George Pickens on the sideline. He's right there, right? And that would have been out of bounds, and that would have been a play that, him throwing it away. But look at where he throws it. He tries to throw it back into the field. It seems like he's trying to hit Najee Harris over the top of this cornerback or safety, and he doesn't get it. And fortunately, it's just dropped. On this play, I think this is a good, next step, right? He sees the zone. He knows where George Pickens is going to be, and he hits George in the zone, but his timing is just a little bit off. He might have thrown the ball a little bit hard, or perhaps just maybe half a second too soon. I think if it's a hair second behind, George Pickens comes up with this play, but let's watch it. So in this play, you have, again, zone, and like I said, this is a step in the right direction. It's not a completion. The timing is a little bit off, but it is a step in the right direction. Jaylen Warren coming out is going to pull this linebacker in, right? And that's going to leave the open space for George Pickens behind him. And it's just there half a second too fast. I mean, I remember this play. Kenny threw that hard, and again, I'm in the end zone where this ball is going. When George Pickens was able to turn around, I mean, that ball was literally right there. And it appears that he put his hands, or that he could have seen it, but in real life, in real time, it just didn't look that way. It looked like as soon as he braked and turned, that the ball was there, and he didn't have an opportunity to, get a glimpse of where the ball is going. He just put his hands up. So maybe if the ball is just a half second slower or half a second in front of him, a little bit more air. I know that there was a safety coming in, but he was a little bit further away. This angle is a little bit deceiving. He was a little bit further away. Kenny had a little bit more room to the inside, but it was a good decision. He read the zone right. He knew where the play was going, and it was also another great play by Matt Canada, getting a receiver open in the zone. I mean, like I said, I know a lot of guys and a lot of folks complain about Matt Canada and his ability to call plays and things of that nature. I get it. It's very frustrating right now, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not sure it's all on Canada. And if you have a coordinator and an offensive line that are struggling, do you think, or not a coordinator, if you have a quarterback and an offensive line that is struggling, do you think that, the coordinator is going to be able to just call magic plays that are good? I don't know. It's going to take some time. I think it's going to take, the quarterback learning the progressions and being comfortable in in this offense, and the offensive line building some chemistry, because they are looking poor. In fact, Mason Cole, not up to the standard. Last season we looked at Mason Cole, and I thought he did better, but I often question, was it better because he's a fundamental gooder, or was it better because Kendi Green was a center before and it just looked so bad? You know what I mean? So those things are where I come into question. So on this play, you're going to have Calvin Austin run down, and he's just going to basically come in front. You're going to have these two tight ends go up, including Jaylen Warren, go up into routes to kind of clear out that area for Calvin Austin. And I think that if Kenny Pickett hits this on time, he's just a half second behind, and he's just a little bit inaccurate. But if he were to hit Calvin Austin in time, this play could go for big yards. Let's watch it. So here comes Calvin Austin. Right here is when Kenny Pickett should start throwing the ball. You have your tight end here with 22, and he's in front of number 44. So he's going to be able to block those two guys. He has two guys preoccupied. You have the other linebacker rushing down towards Jaylen Warren, and you have the cornerback following Freiermuth going up top. So at this point, you probably need to start throwing the ball, and that's when it needs to hit him. Let's rewind that. So when it turns green is when Austin should have the ball. But as you can see, it's just a little late, a little bit behind. But I want to show you guys how much field he had open if he would have caught this right there. If he would have caught this right there, he would have been gone. And, if the ball was thrown accurately, if it was on time and in front of Austin to give him an opportunity to get yards after the catch, this could be a TD, to be honest with you. Great play, great design. Just, you have protection here. Kenny Pickett, there's a pocket there. There's no need to panic the throw or any of those things. I'm not sure what's going on, why he was a little bit late, but these things, in my opinion, can be fixed. Just a little bit late. Could have been a big game. And now let's get into the struggles with the offensive line and the blocking. On this play here, you're going to have Calvin Austin, who's at the top. He's going to run up, and he has a comeback. But Myles Garrett destroys this play. He beats Dan Moore off the end and forces Kenny to quickly get out of there, and an inaccurate throw. So this was a lack of protection in this situation, and not on Kenny. But it was a good scheme. It was a good look. Just didn't come to fruition because Dan Moore allowed the pressure. On this next play, keep an eye on Isaac Seumalo and number 44 in this play. I don't even know how to explain it other than just watch it. There's no explanation for that. That should not have happened. I don't even know how to talk about that. He just let him go. He didn't block anybody. Jaylen Warren went out, didn't see this guy either, number 44. Pickett's not going to have an opportunity to break, read defenses and have that progression if he's having constant pressure in his face like that. I think that there's a good possibility, last week against the 49ers that may have got a little shook, with all the how fast that defense was and how many hits he was in and the pressure that he had. Browns defense is no joke either. Our offensive line isn't helping, definitely not helping in this situation. So this is another play. Keep your eye on Mason Cole. He's going to whiff on two players on two blocks. Constant thing when it comes to Mason, he's just not been as consistent as he was last year. See him. This is a running play to Najee, and he needs to help Seumalo at least punch number 90. He's looking in that direction, and then his responsibility is number 5. And he gets kind of turned around. He doesn't hit number 90 at all. And I just don't like his footwork here. Look at this. I don't think that's going to work, and it doesn't. See, he whips on 90, and he goes, number 5 is his guy. I don't like, just allows him to get hit. Can't do anything, and gets hit in the backfield. Again, Mason Cole just wasn't having a game that day. Here's the next play. This is a scheme play. This is where Canada's coming through, right? There's some misdirection that's going on. We have a lot of people in the box, so maybe that's why, they're trying to spread them out a little bit, get the defense not so much in the box. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 guys in the box right now. Maybe if the Steelers hit them on the outside and can break something on the outside, that'll alleviate some of that traffic there. It'll make the Cleveland Browns more honest and have to play a little bit more spread out, and this way the running game can get going. But in this case, this is a reverse, I believe. And it just doesn't work. Number 6 for the Cleveland Browns is a very good linebacker. He constantly shows up. And he's there on Calvin Austin as well. Let's watch that again. So it looks like he's on man following Pat Fryermuth. Number 6 is, it seems like he's going to blitz because he runs straight down, but then he sees in this angle that there's some foolery, some razzle dazzle that's going on. And he maintains containment, and which is why this play doesn't go anywhere. He's able to go to the outside. There's nowhere for Calvin Austin to go. He just gets tackled for a loss. Watch it from the. Now, in this next play, Pat Fryermuth and Mason Cole just don't get it done. Let's watch it and then we'll explain. As you can see, Pat Fryermuth tried to cut the defensive edge there and just kind of fell on the floor and let him have a clear angle towards the running back. Mason Cole, I'm not even sure what he's doing. He's number 61. It looks like he's trying to block 93 with one hand out of position. I don't even know what's going on. And both of those guys double team Warren in the backfield. You can see Mason Cole upset with himself. Let's rewatch that play. This time I want you guys to keep your eye on Mason Cole. He just gets beat by 93. He just gets beat. You know, if Pat Fryermuth can do his cut and Mason doesn't get beat there, there's a cutback there for Jaylen Warren. He's really good at that. And that, you know, it could be a completely different play, in my opinion. Now, with all the negative plays out of the way, let's look at the positive plays. Let's look at the reason for optimism, right? And this play here, this is going to be a running play for Jaylen Warren. You're going to see, you're going to see Dan Moore handle the edge. You're going to see a double team the rest of the way. Watch this. So Jaylen Warren comes in, and you have the double team here. Now, it is James Daniels to push off and go up to the next level and handle number 6, the middle linebacker. And if he does so, this is going to be a pretty good game. Number 6 sees James Daniel come across, and he cuts and actually takes himself out of the play and cuts back towards Pat Fryermuth. And this ends up being a pretty good game after all. So in this play here, you have a box, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people in the box. This is another running play. You're going to have the Steelers put Calvin Austin in motion. That takes out one of the players out of the box. You get that? You see that? Takes out a player out of the box, and it makes it a more favorable running play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they end up getting a first down here. This is good scheme. This is good planning. Reason for optimism. On this play, this is going to be something similar. Again, they go into motion. That'd be one of the big plays for Najee. Now, I know everybody says, you can't run, lateral run out to the outside with Najee Harris. If it's blocked correctly, you sure can. This is a big run from Najee Harris. Let's rewind that a little bit. And it's going to be a better view from the other angle. But you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people on the line of scrimmage, 2 people behind them in the box, making for an 8-man front. Now, you have quite a bit of folks on that top side of the formation, and that's going to be the side Najee Harris is running towards. You see Calvin Austin going into motion, taking number 0 with him off of that side of the outside of that area of the field. Now, from the other angle, you're going to see how it's blocked, but you have one-on-one with Najee Harris and a safety in open space. I'm going to take that battle 9 every time, 10 out of 10 times. And you'll see that right here, how it works. You see Calvin Austin going in motion. It takes number 0 Oxen out of the way. You got good blocks. Darnell Washington is a beast. Fryermuth, he whiffs every now and then. I haven't seen Darnell Washington whiff. He's done amazing things. There's one play where he got stepped on trying to do something similar to this, come across like a trap play, and he goes down and doesn't make the play. But that's those things are going to happen. Mistakes happen. That wasn't fundamental. That wasn't something lack of thinking. That wasn't a lack of ability or personnel. It was an accident. He got his foot stepped on and fell to the ground. Look at that. He blocks him out of the way. And you have one-on-one with the safety. That, like I said, every time. Now, this is a similar play where they're going to be running out to the outside. Connor Hayward is going to go into motion to the top of the screen. And this ends up being a play where Najee has to take it back, spin it around, and he makes a good play. However, if Connor Hayward blocks this correctly, This is going to be a big play on its own going the right direction. So you have Connor Hayward in front of Najee Harris. Dan Moore is hitting the edge, and he's pushing him in. Connor Hayward's job is to hit the edge, and Dan Moore is supposed to up to the second level. You see that, but you don't see Connor Hayward doing what he's supposed to do, right? He hits the guy, but the guy just shrugs it off and hits Najee. It's a better view from here. He's got a running start. You would have thought that, having a running start and plowing into number 99 would have done something. This is why I think that maybe perhaps instead of Connor Hayward being the guy running across, it'd be Darnell Washington. Now, that's a personnel issue, right? If you go look at the defense, Porter Jr. has been coming in slowly. Keanu Benton didn't have a lot of the first game until probably about the second half, and then this game he started getting more. That's a different side of the ball. I think that this is a Tomlin issue with rookies, not wanting them to get too much exposure. And so he has the second and run this play. And in my opinion, that's the wrong decision. That's on the head coach, not on the coordinator, not on the offensive line, not on even Connor Hayward himself. He is a smaller tight end going up against a large edge. And you have a guy that could match up against him who pancaked Bosa, who's held his zone in camp against Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt, and you're not utilizing him in this play. Just don't get it. So right here, as you can see, if this guy gets, out, you have James Daniels going up to the second level. You have Dan Moore going up to the second level. You have Mason Cole already at the second level. There's a good chance that this is going to be able to go outside. I think Mason Cole probably should have gone upward. Seumalo is losing his battle here. So maybe it was a good thing that he cut it back. You had your players in the right position. It just was not executed, right? That seems to be, in my opinion, the biggest problem in that situation is you have the play executed. You have the play right. You have the good play call. You just don't get it executed. And so that's, like I said, there's a couple of reasons why this offense isn't playing up to the standard that it should. And this is one of them. It's the offensive line, the quarterback struggling with zone, the coordinator maybe not being, throwing out plays that could be easier for the quarterback. Although in last week's Matt Canada interview, he addressed Ben Roethlisberger's questions or statements that he thought that Matt Canada should have gave him some plays that Kenny liked to get him on rhythm and on schedule. Canada said that those were the plays and that's what they were trying to do last week. Just take that with a grain of salt, and we'll continue this. On this play, I know you guys don't want to hear it, but this is a good play scheme. This is very creative. Maybe the Steelers need to do some more of this, but at the end of the day, it's going to be figured out. When you put this type of stuff on film, where you're going to muddy up basically the interior of the defense and allow for Jaylen Warren to get open. It's a great scheme. It's a great play call. You don't want to run this too often because eventually the defense is going to catch on, right? So you had Jaylen Warren go in motion, and these are the routes that these three receivers are going to go into to muddy up the interior of the defense. And you also have Jaylen Warren coming out to the outside where it's going to be wide open. Now, him going into motion, we saw number 44 travel with him, right? So that tells us this is in man. If 44 gets on the wrong side of this linebacker, which the goal is for him to do so, and that's why Jaylen Warren lines up on the right side of Kenny Pickett to force 44 to get on the right side of the middle linebacker to make it thus more difficult. And as you can see, he swaps around. And as soon as he does that, Kenny Pickett knows where he's going with his ball. The receivers and basically shield number 44 or the middle linebacker from making a play. It's almost a pick play. I mean, to a certain extent, it is. Wasn't caught, wasn't called. If you see number 11, he hits 44 on his way in, but it's so congested there with these receivers that it's not visible. And then Jaylen Warren has it for a big game. Great scheme. Now let's watch it from the other angle. So you can see this is a better view of how muddy up the inside or the middle of this defense gets. Look at that. He's having to fight through traffic to get to Jaylen Warren. Good play. It's a good concept. I like everything about this play. The execution was on point. These are reasons why we can be optimistic, right? This is another play that should give you a lot of optimism. Kenny Pickett making a tight window throw and a comeback to Calvin Austin, who got a little bit held right there. That was a good play, good execution. That was fast. He was able to make the right read. So in the next two plays, these are plays in the zone where Kenny Pickett was able to hit George Pickens twice. I like the play design. I like the scheme. It gets Pickens open. As you can see, he's going to go inward and then come out. Austin's going to run straight up, pulling the safety. Pickens is just going to come wide open in the soft zone. And Kenny finds him, throws the ball accurately, and delivers it to him. He's wide open in the zone. You have Najee down here, and his job is to make sure that this linebacker and this corner don't drift too far. They have to be honest by keeping an eye on Najee in case he dumps it off. So because Najee comes out, it holds these two, number 1 and number 44, so that they can't go further back. It just throws a really good ball in the soft part of the zone for a first down. Now, in this play here, this is another good example of Kenny Pickett doing some promising things. He's going to drop back. He's going to read the defense. He's going to go through his progressions. He's going to find George Pickens open, and he's going to hit him accurately. Now, the scheme goes on this play is you have man on the outside, and you have cover 2 zone, and you're going to see that Robinson is going to go up. Well, let's play a little bit there. Robinson goes up, and he's going to cut across the field. He's going to pull this slot cornerback and the safety with him, leaving George Pickens one-on-one. And so when George ends up making his work, he's wide open for a big gain. And keep your eye on Pickett as well. He's going to move up into the pocket correctly. See, there's Allen Robinson attracting 1, 2, 3 individuals. Kenny Pickett right now is looking towards the direction of Calvin Austin. So he's looking off the safety. This is also making the safety kind of push towards the middle of the field. He's got a clean pocket, Kenny Pickett, that is. Steps up and then throws it to a wide open George Pickens, who makes a big gain. Let's watch it from the end zone so you can see the protection. Offensive line does well. This is what happens when, scheme, execution meet, and timing meet, is you end up having favorable plays. This is still a very young offense. Kenny Pickett's only in his second year, y'all. It might be a little bit longer before he gets the timing down, especially with these receivers. He probably had a lot of this timing down to Johnson, and it's not Deontay for a while right now. So he's going to have to come and get that timing down with Calvin Austin and George Pickens, because I think George is probably running some different routes than what he did last season. Majority of it was go routes. His wide receiver tree is basically opened up a little bit, and Kenny needs to get on the same page. Now, this is the touch that went to George Pickens. This is another one that's in zone, and this is another reason for promise, right? Kenny struggles in the zone. He's not incompetent in the zone. Understand, he just needs to get a little bit better, and I think that this shows that he has that ability. There's going to be a play action pass, so he fakes it, and he's looking at his tight end. He reads, he sees right here. He goes from his first progression to the tight end. He's not there. All right, I got zone. The next player that should be coming open is George Pickens. He sees him. I love the progression. Hits him in stride. This is probably one of the best plays. And then check out Calvin Austin right there blocking up top. This should give everybody some reason for optimism. Again, is the offense frustrating? 100%. 100%. It's one of the more frustrating offenses right now. But do they have the capability of maybe doing something better? I think so. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. You guys still think we should fire Matt Canada? You guys think that we should just blow it all up and start over? Or you think that maybe we should give this offense a little bit of time, and maybe perhaps they'll come around? Let me know in the comment section. Please hit that like and subscribe. If you're still here and not subscribed, what are you waiting for? We do these breakdowns every week. We'll have another one after the Vegas game. Continue to watch this offense progress as the season continues. With that being said, I'm Daniel. This is State of the Steelers. We'll see you next time. Peace.